Well, welcome to our annual January closure here at Montpelier. We call it January closure because we pretty much in fact close down to the public. This is a time we take for about 2 weeks in the beginning of January, and it's an annual period of time that we get to have here at Montpelier. So what is this January closure? So it's a time where, as I said, we're closed to the public, but we close down to the public so that we can do important maintenance of the house and of the collections in the house. So it's a chunk of time where we can have projects. You can see this room is a little out of sorts, and that's because we have this big chunk of time to really get into the rooms, into the house, move things around, and get to do these big type of projects.
January closure allows us to completely, break down a room, pull things away from the walls, really get into each object, inspect their condition, and deep clean them. So while this room is usually set, we only have access to a couple of furniture pieces. We can't pull anything away from the wall because we have tours coming in soon. So day to day, week to week, we do just light dusting, light cleaning. But with January closure being closed for the entire time without tour interruption, we're able to really get into each object, each room, and deep clean the entire house. So part of our January closure, one of the main projects we do is taking care of all the big furniture pieces. So we have our sofa here that's located in the drawing room. Usually it sits just right against this wall. Because of its size and the nature of the space, we aren't able to clean it weekly. So this is one of the pieces that gets a good deep clean during January closure. So we've removed it from the wall. We've pulled it out a bit so the backside can be cleaned, as well as the wall and the floorboards behind it. So what we do is we have our artifact dusting brush and we have our Nilfisk backpack vacuum with our HEPA filter. And all we do is we go through the whole entire sofa, inch by inch, and we brush the sofa, collecting all of the dust into the vacuum. So we go through the entire thing, including the wood, all of the little brass, and the horsehair. So it takes a good amount of time. You definitely need patience for it. But it's reset, it's ready to go for another year.
So for any big project that we're doing, especially in this instance, the French bed here in Mr. Madison's room, it's very old and delicate. So when we're thinking about doing a big project, we're really making sure that we're thinking through all the steps and all the things necessary to do to complete a big project like this in a way that is manageable, in a way that keeps our staff safe, and keeps the object safe as well.
So when we have to move a large object like this bed, Jenniffer and I come into the space, we assess the room that it's in and the object. So what we do is we remove all of the furniture in the room necessary to pull the bed out into the middle of the floor. We've removed some chairs and tables already. We will physically lift the bed. Like Jenniffer mentioned, it's very delicate, it's very old, so we only do this once a year to not put as much stress on the object as possible. So we physically lift the bed, carefully move it to the middle of the floor. Make sure everything's still stable, make sure it looks good. And we have our large ladder to reach the top of the bed, and we just work inch by inch down, dusting, vacuuming the entire bed. So like I mentioned before, we have our Nilfisk backpack vacuum with our HEPA filter to help us clean this. In addition to cleaning all of the bed hangings and the bed itself, we have the woodwork, and we also have some special acid-free tissue paper on the canopy to catch any of the dust that falls throughout the year.
One of my favorite parts about our January closure and the time that it affords us is that we get a chance to do really in-depth cleaning and really get to be very hands-on with our objects. One of my favorite projects in particular is getting to really deep clean some of our argand lamps. So these were lamps that were used in the period that would give off a little bit of light. So I've taken off the globes. So normally the globes would sit here on the branch. So I've taken those off so that I can really access all the little hidden grooves. So to dust the base, I would use my artifact dusting brush and a vacuum, get off that surface dust, and I've already completed that step. So what I'm working on right now is individually cleaning these crystals that are hanging. So the crystals are decorative, but they also, as a reflective surface, would have just assisted in reflecting the light, so amplifying the light that would have been produced here in the globe section. And so I've got a cotton cloth, I'm just using a little bit of distilled water to wipe off that surface dust that has accumulated over the past year. And the result is you get to have a little bit more sparkle to all the little crystals, and that's sort of one of my favorite projects. Is it's fun to get to sort of clean the glass and get to see that almost instant result of clean, reflective glass.
So another part of our January closure projects is polishing the silver. We have a lot of silver pieces in our collection, and thankfully during this time we're able to go in into areas that the silver is usually on display, take them off display, check them out, check on the condition, and polish them. So we do make our own silver polish formula in-house. It's not abrasive, it's very delicate to not disturb the surface of the silver. It's just a nice light cleaning. So we use distilled water and calcium carbonate. We make that mixture. We put that on a clean cotton rag. You just kind of buff it into the silver piece. You wait a bit, it dries, and you buff it out with the cotton cloth. And then if there's still any little leftover debris from the mixture, especially in pieces like this that have a lot of intricate details, some of the mixture can get stuck inside the intricate spaces. We just take a bit of denatured alcohol on a cotton swab, just kind of work it in to remove some of that formula. And then if very necessary, we have a bamboo skewer with a fine tip that we can get into the more fine details of the piece to remove some of that caked on formula. So here we are in the South Passage at James Madison's Montpelier, and on the schedule for our January closure is dusting all of the frames in the South Passage. So I have this one here, and I'm going to demonstrate how we do it. So again, we use our artifact dusting brush and our Nilfisk backpack vacuum with our HEPA filter. And all we do for each of the frames is go around, and I would have the vacuum with me, and dust the dust into the vacuum. So that way we're collecting everything, we're not just pushing it around so the dust will fall later. This way we're actually removing that deterioration from the piece. So all the frames are different. This one includes a lot of fine detail where dust can settle over time. So what we do is just kind of get in there and really scoop it out again into the hose of the Nilfisk backpack vacuum. So we go around the whole piece, each frame in the South Passage during January closure. So January closure and being able to do these large scale projects is so important, and it's important to the integrity of our collection and each object because it helps us with our preventative care measures. So we have tall bookcases, we have the bed in Mr. Madison's room. Like we've mentioned, we're not able to get to those spaces all the time, and being able to get eyes on the tops of the cases, on the secretary, on each angle of the bed helps us to know the object better, to take better care of it in the coming year, in its future, and just being able to really get up close and personal with each of the objects.
When you're a historic site or historic house and your structure is original to your site, your structure becomes an artifact itself. So the walls we're in, the floors we're on, are part of the historic fabric of our site, and being able to steward it, to protect it, to have eyes on it is a critical and essential piece of why we have this January closure, and it helps us plan out the year in a way so we're aware of any potential issues that happen. This maintenance allows us to continue to have visitors to Montpelier, which is an essential piece of Montpelier and being open. We want to have people come into the house so that we can continue to tell the stories of Montpelier, to tell all of the stories about all of the people here, the whole entire picture of Montpelier. And a way we do that is by using the house as this vessel as a structure with the collection that it houses, as the material culture. All of these visual pieces help us tell the stories of Montpelier. So that's really, in a way, the driving force between or behind this January closure time.